You know, we've all encountered people who are just absolutely special at what they do. And when they stop doing it, leave of their own volition, you say, what are we going to do now? Well, such was the case when one of the founding fathers of the Blair County Sports Hall of Fame, Steve Sheets, decided to pass the torch. He did such an outstanding job getting this banquet and getting the Hall of Fame up and running. What are we going to do now? Well, we turn to another founding father, and all is well, I'm happy to report. It is my great pleasure to introduce to you the president of the Blair County Sports Hall of Fame, now in his 13 years in that capacity, David Andrews.
Well, thank you to all of you, because you are making history tonight. We now have the largest crowd in the history of the Blair County Sports Hall of Fame with over 1,000 people. So thank you to all of you. Stan thought it was because of him, but we think maybe Hines had a little bit to do with the crowd. Tonight we're going to honor a coach who has inspired countless young athletes. The area's most accomplished gymnast, the area's most accomplished swimmer, one of the legends of St. Francis basketball, and one of Blair County's few Major League Baseball players. For the first time ever, for the Hall of Fame, we'll have 2 female athletes being inducted in one dinner. We're recognizing a 1957 baseball team that brought recognition to this area as a national champion, 3 student scholar athletes, and a baseball league that enables physically challenged youths and adults to be able to compete. I would note that this evening cannot be possible without the help of many people, but a few people I have to specially recognize. First of all, Neil Rudell. Now, some people find it hard to believe that Neil and I have been actually able to work together for 21 years together, and we still are doing it. But it's been a labor of love for both Neil and I, and to have this dream effectuated tonight with this kind of crowd has been super for both of us. Also, Kathy Millward, who's been the executive assistant for this since I took over as president. She does all the behind-the-scenes work and makes sure that it's possible that people get their tickets and people are here on time. And thank you to Kathy from everybody in the Blair County Sports Hall of Fame. Also, Steve Sheets, our former president, and Lee Height, both of whom make it possible to get all of our corporate sponsors that we have here that really help fund this event and make it possible for everyone. Steve Kaysen, who spearheads our program booklet. Steve does a super job for us, and without him, we couldn't do this as well. Also, part of the Convention Center staff and former TV 10 sports anchor Kelly Goodman and her assistant Trish. You'll see some tremendous videos tonight, and they've put together something that I think has been truly special. We thank Kelly and Trish as well. To all the board, the selection committee, and all of our corporate sponsors, we thank you. I would note that tonight we've changed our approach a little bit from past dinners. For many of you who've been here in the past, we will have our presenters of the inductees being presented by video. Now, we're doing this for a couple reasons. One is to make sure we move the evening along, and secondly, that some of the presenters we want to have to present these able individuals can't always make it from far away, so they've been able to do videos to honor and induct their inductees. Blair County is unique in its sports history, and it's really unique in its support of its athletes, and you've shown that tonight by your support, so thank you. Sit back and enjoy the night.
Thank you, David. It's wonderful to have a crowd over 1,000. I do think that it might have been 1,500 had it not been for the fact I was MC. You might want to consider that. Neil Riddell, already been mentioned, keeps asking me back, and I'm getting to the opinion he doesn't know anyone else. So how flattering that is for me. That doesn't surprise me at all. But countless hours go into this. I'm delighted to be a part of it, and it's all through Neil that I am. And it's all through Neil that this banquet has gotten bigger and better every year. The managing editor of the Altoona Mirror, Neil Riddell.
Thank you, Stan. And again, I'm just glad that Beano Cook was already booked 20 years ago. Honored inductees, award winners, distinguished guests, and Hall of Fame supporters. This year's community service recipient is the Miracle League of Blair County. We've all been to many, many games, from Little League, where the score shouldn't matter but somehow does, up to high school, where championships are celebrated and disappointments are consoled, to the Curve and Penn State, and of course, the Steelers. But there may not be a game in central Pennsylvania as inspiring as the ones that take place at the Blair County Miracle League. There, through a passion for sports and the generous efforts of our community, evidenced once again here tonight, children and young adults with disabilities are able to play baseball. With all due respect to Blair County Ballpark, a true shrine, the Miracle League in El Dorado, one of only two in Pennsylvania, may be our most beautiful facility. There you'll find the pure joy of seeing a player in a wheelchair stroking a hit and being pushed around the bases by one of the many volunteers with cheers filling the air. It is truly a scene like no other. Over the past few years, led by Joe Reed and Dick McLean and many others, more than $500,000 was raised to create this state-of-the-art mini ballpark, which opened last summer. Every one of the 1,000+ here tonight ought to see this true miracle, this ultimate in community service. When the U.S. hockey team stunned Russia in the 1980 Winter Games and went on to win the gold medal, Al Michaels made one of the most famous calls in sports history by saying, "Do you believe in miracles?" In Blair County, we can definitely say yes. It's my pleasure to present this year's Community Service Award to the Miracle League of Blair County and its spokesman, Joe Reed.
It's a real honor to be here tonight. I want to thank the committee of the Blair County Sports Hall of Fame, and especially the selection committee. To be recognized with this honor is a true honor. I was going to tell you a little bit about what the Miracle League is, but Neil did a much better job of that than I can ever do. When we opened last summer, we were only the 76th Miracle League in the whole world. So that's something to be proud of for all the people of Blair County and central Pennsylvania. You have to come out and see a game. We're starting May 3rd. We're playing on Saturdays, starting at 10 o'clock till about 2 o'clock. You have to come out and see one. Most of our players have never been on a baseball field before. The smiles are unbelievable. I think the only smile I've ever seen on a person, any bigger than what you see on our players, is when Hines Ward runs over a cornerback on into the end zone. Winston Churchill said one time, and I read this every so often, we make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. And whenever I was asked to come up here and speak a little bit, Neil Riddell told me I only had 45 minutes, and I told him I don't think I could do it in that much time. With a horrified look on his face, I realized he said 4 to 5 minutes. So we'll be a little bit quicker than that. I do want to thank some of the people, and most of them are here tonight, who made this Miracle League possible, either financially or by their support mentally, if nothing else. Ellis Fiore, Walmart, Blair Sign and Blair Electric, Sheets. Steve Sheets was amazing. Wolf Furniture, M&T Bank, Reliance Bank, Keller Engineers, and Case & Architects. Fox 8 and ABC picked up the ball on this thing early and ran with it. They've been advertising the Miracle League for at least 3 years now. Sometimes it's almost too much, but good publicity can never be too much. Wesco supplied a lot of the electrical supplies. The Height Company supplied a lot of stuff, and they're ongoing with us right now. We're going to put lights up at the Miracle League so the kids can play ball at night. And we're going to have wiffle ball tournaments. The Altoona Curve was great with us. They've done a couple fundraisers with us. Anything we ask Todd Parnell or Elsie or Carol or any of the people at the Curve, we get it. You'd think we'd be tired of asking, but we've learned raising $500,000, you just don't get tired of asking. You don't get embarrassed anymore. You have to ask to get these kids someplace to play. And the Curve's been wonderful. Electric Motor Supply, Penn Stand, Folcarelli, they all supplied materials for the Miracle League. We have a lot of service clubs who helped out an awful lot too. The El Dorado Kiwanis, it's one of their projects, their biggest project. The Altoona Ambucks, Altoona Kiwanis, Altoona Rotary, Lakemont Lions, and I know they're getting a hook. They're going to drag me down off here in a minute. Altoona Sunrise Rotary was responsible for way over $50,000 that went into the Miracle League. We can't thank them enough. And of course, you have former Senator Jubileer, Representative Rick Geist, the county commissioners. Dave Bergmeyer family was great with their financial support. And just there's so many individuals and so many companies that made this possible. There's no way this would have been built right now, I'm telling you, without them. I'm about done. The only person I really want to thank who probably did more than anybody I already mentioned, and I'll probably get murdered for this, but my wife, Annette, I want you to stand up. I spend 2 winters in my office at home and the weekends on my computer looking for money for this thing. And she supported me the whole way.
Thank you, Joe. And that's one of the reasons I love coming to this banquet. For those kids to get a chance to play, that's really what it's all about. Another reason I love this banquet is because we, every year, get an opportunity to meet potentially future Blair County Sports Hall of Fame inductees, but maybe more importantly, leaders of our community. Here to present our scholarship winners for this year, Lisa Michaelone.
Thank you. I'm very proud to be here representing Reliance Bank this evening. We are a true community bank, and I urge all of you to do business with community people that do business that give back to our community. We just want to extend all of our appreciation and thanks to all of the honorees this evening. It's just a great evening, and with so many people here, it's just an outstanding event. Reliance Bank is a community bank, and with that, we are able to offer $1 million to a local YMCA. We're able to offer 4% on free checking. We're able to offer our employees the ability to volunteer their time to projects that they feel are appropriate and worthwhile in the community. And almost 100% of our employees do that on a yearly basis. So that's a very proud thing for Reliance. On behalf of all the employees, I'd like to congratulate all of the recipients and the honorees this evening. Their achievements, their goals, their aspirations are going to be with them for the rest of their lives, and I think that's a wonderful achievement for all of them. Reliance Bank has been with the Sports Hall of Fame, and we partner with them on the scholarships each year, on the off years as well as the banquet years. And I ask you and urge you to respect these individuals, and please read their bios on page 53. They're outstanding individuals, and as you'll see as they come up, they're just wonderful people that you definitely want to get to meet. Our first recipient is a senior at Bishop Guilfoyle High School. Christine Conrad is a senior. She starred in basketball and track, and she is in the National Honor Society, and she is going forward to my alma mater, St. Francis. Christine.
Hello. I'd just like to say that it's an honor and a privilege to receive this scholarship tonight. First of all, I just want to thank all of you for making this such a special night. I'd like to thank Reliance Bank for making this scholarship possible. I'd also like to thank God for His grace and the talents and opportunities that He's given me. I'd also like to thank my parents and my family for all their support, especially all those last-minute peanut butter and jelly sandwiches before the games. And I'd also like to thank my brother Matthew and sister Stephanie for being great role models for me. And I'd also like to thank my little brother Mark for coming to every away game. He's 7, and those were hard for him, but thank him. And I'd also like to thank Coach Michelle and the rest of the Lady Marauder coaching staff for their dedication and always caring for us and treating us like one of their own daughters. I'd like to thank my teammates and the Bishop Guilfoyle family for always supporting me. And lastly, I'd like to thank the Blair County Hall of Fame for selecting me and providing a positive way for a young person to strive athletically as well as academically.
Our next recipient is Amanda Ottaway. Amanda is a senior at Hollidaysburg High School, and she also starred in volleyball, track, and basketball, and is also a member of the National Honor Society. Amanda is furthering her education at Davidson. Amanda.
Hi everybody, I hope you're all having a good time. I am. Hines signed my speech. So, first of all, I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame Board of Directors and the Scholarship Selection Committee because getting this award is really an honor for me and I'm grateful for the opportunity. Thank you to my teachers from preschool to 12th grade for putting up with me and whose high expectations pushed me to become the best student I could be. Thank you to all my opponents, that includes Christine, who have unknowingly always been my biggest motivators because I hate to lose. Thank you to my family, my parents and my brothers, Luke, Zach, Jesse, and Casey, and all my relatives for their continued support. Because no matter how many games I played in or what sport it was, there was always somebody there to watch. Most importantly, thank you to my high school coaches and teammates this past year at Hollidaysburg. Without these people, and this sounds so cheesy, but I wouldn't be where I am today. Coach Hurd, Coach Dubek, and Coach Jennings, along with my teammates, have had a huge impact on my athletic and academic career. This coaching staff has not only taught me a lot about basketball, but provided me with life lessons that I'm going to take with me to Davidson and everywhere I go after that. The girls and those coaches deserve a large part of the credit for everything I do. And lastly, I wanted to say that I've known Christine and Sean since we were all in elementary school. I've known Sean since we were 6. And they've both grown into spectacular people and are both very deserving of this award, so congratulations to you guys too. Thanks again to everyone and continue to enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.
Our next recipient is Sean Brannan. Sean is into golf, which I'm sure all of you right now are wondering who's leading the Masters, but Sean doesn't care. He's more into the British Open than the Masters anyway, so it doesn't matter. Sean is a senior at Hollidaysburg High School, and he is going to Georgia Southern, where it's nice and warm, and they have great golf in Georgia. Congratulations, Sean.
Good evening, everyone. It is a great honor and privilege to be standing up here tonight. There are many people who helped me to get here, but I would not be here without the help and guidance of one person, and that's my grandfather, Scott Stoltz. Thanks, Pa. Also, my mom, stepdad, and grandmother June have been a constant source of love and support. I would like to thank the Blair County Sports Hall of Fame Selection Committee for choosing me as the recipient of this scholarship, and Mr. Tim Sisler and Reliance Bank for making this scholarship possible. I would not have reached this level without the help of my teachers and the Hollidaysburg Area School District Administration. Since first grade, I've been allowed to miss numerous days of school for golf tournaments, lessons, and trips. A big thank you to our Hollidaysburg Athletic Director, Mr. Dean Rossi. The Hollidaysburg boys golf team coach, Rob Murphy, has been a good friend of Pa's and mine as well. Pro allowed me to improve my game on my own terms and made high school golf a lot of fun. Thank you to the DeGolf family for your support and friendship over the last several years. Also, thank you, Mr. Neil Riddell, for your encouragement and friendship. Thank you, Mr. Dean Patterson, who took me to Dothan, Alabama when I was 10, where I won my first big junior event. Throughout my life, I've had top-rank instruction from Mr. Ted Sheftick and my current teacher, Mr. Todd Anderson, who will be a lot closer when I move to Statesboro. Although I will miss my high school golf teammates, I won't miss the freezing rain and windy conditions that seem to follow us to every match. I'm looking forward to playing college golf in a warmer climate at Georgia Southern. Thank you very much.
Hines, Sean's going to Georgia Southern. You got to start doing a better job of recruiting those Bulldogs. How'd you let him get away?
I'm sorry. I apologize.
It might not be too late. Might not be too late. One of the other great things about this banquet is what a great community it is. It's lovely when you honor your own, but not only individuals, but teams. And the team that we pay tribute tonight, we go back to 1957. This group from Altoona won the National Amateur Baseball Federation National Championship. Let's watch some memories.
It was the summer of 1957, and Altoona was all abuzz with baseball.
It was the thing to do for people in town.
A Blair County-based all-star team of teenagers battling against the best in the country, the National Amateur Baseball Federation Championships at historic Cricket Field. It was a 16-team double elimination tournament. Through 8 games over 4 days, the Kelly Stars took over headlines and won hearts with their amazing Cinderella story.
Quite honestly, we were a team that I don't think was considered to be one of the favorites. We just played really well. The pitching was just outstanding.
As we won a couple of games, we started to get the feeling like, hey, maybe we're into this. Because most of the Altoona teams, all of the Altoona teams up to this point, no one ever lasted more than a day or two. So here we were going into the 3rd day and still in it.
Just the excitement of every game you won, you got close and all of a sudden you felt like you could win a national championship against good teams, you know, coming in. But still, it kept building.
Building to the title game, Altoona versus Louisville for the NABF championship.
We dressed prior to the game at the Altoona YMCA, which was on Lexington Avenue, and we walked down to the field, and which was about 2 blocks away, I guess. And when we walked in the afternoon prior to the championship game, I mean, to see that crowd and the ovation we got was just phenomenal.
Larry Stoltenberg was just battling every inning, and the other pitcher, Willie Hoffmeister for Louisville, we didn't get a hit off him until the 10th inning, till Tommy's double. And then I was able to get on first. And the key to that game, one of the keys to the game, besides our good defense and everything else and great pitching, was the Bobby Irwin slide into second base. His takeout slide, a fundamental thing to do, took out that second baseman, and I was able to come in and score.
Looked like a perfect double play. They throw to second for the second out. Bobby Irwin made a real hard slide into second. The second baseman overthrows the ball to first. and Carl DeCasper scored. I mean, I can see it like it was yesterday.
People in the stands, everything around it, and just was amazing. You know, little kid from Williamsburg coming up and seeing thousands of people around the stadium rooting for the home team to win, and then you know, being able to win it the way we did, the 1-0, and Carl scoring the winning run, and us hanging in there.
All I know is when I hit home plate, it was I was under a pile of humans. I was really scared, as I recall. I didn't know I was going to survive because the whole team and the crowd, it was one of the most exciting moments ever, and we'll never forget it.
When you think of a group of guys, like we weren't all from Altoona, there was Tyrone, there was Phillipsburg, there was Williamsburg, just being put together and being very well coached there. I mean, it was probably the first time that I, coming from a small town, had a chance to be a part of something really big. In high school, we won the basketball thing, and we were pretty good at football, but still, this was a national stage.
I think of the people that not only supported us, but I think of the men and women who came to the games, donated their quarters and dimes and 50-cent pieces so that we could have bats and balls to play the next game. People, a lot of the hardworking men who would come to the fields and drag the fields and fill up the holes and dig out the mud. And when I think back to those people, I feel like when the Blair County Sports Hall of Fame honors us, they're honoring them.
You know, just to be part of that history. I mean, to this day, you know, people my age and younger who say, well, I was at that game, you know. I mean, it means a lot to me. It really does. This is really special.
Special time, really special time, especially here.
That is certainly deserving of your applause, and also a round of applause for Kelly Goodman, who wrote and produced that piece. Wonderful, wonderful job. Those are memories of a lifetime for everyone, and it is my distinct pleasure now to introduce to you that 1957 National Championship team. Gentlemen, as I call your name, please make your way up right here in front of the dais. No fighting for the spotlight position. We'll get everybody in here. Coach Bob Birchfield. Coach Joe Carreri. Equipment manager Bob Reisinger. And just an addendum here, thank goodness, all 19 of the players are still with us. Not just here, but they're still with us. Catcher Marlon Berry. Outfielder Francis D'Amico. Center fielder Carl DeCaspers. Second baseman Dave Four. Third baseman Charlie Hess. First baseman Ed Hoover. The man who made the slide, shortstop Bob Irwin. Outfielder Bill Julius. Pitcher Bob Kelly. Second baseman Jim Lane. Outfielder Dick Ramey. Pitcher Dick Rupert. Pitcher Larry Stoltenberg. Infielder Carmen Variata. Catcher Fritz Whitaker. Pitcher and tournament MVP Bill Ingram. And members of the team who could not be here tonight, Galen Hall, Tom Lane, Eldon Lower, and two coaches who passed away, Milt Newman, and just a couple of weeks ago, Bob Birchfield's brother, Bill Birchfield. Ladies and gentlemen, a tremendous round of applause for the 1957 NABF national champions. All right, guys, back to your seats. They're stealing your desserts. We're going to get back there in a hurry. Congratulations. Thank you. Last week, the Boston Red Sox had their home opener at Fenway Park. And apparently deciding that 22 years was enough time to torture a poor soul, they invited first baseman Bill Buckner to be honored in Boston. Any Red Sox fan, any baseball fan will tell you that Bill, who had a terrific career, is the guy who let that ground ball go through his legs that enabled the Mets to win Game 6 of the 1986 World Series, and then the Mets won it, and the Red Sox were left without a world championship. And I kept wondering, if the Sox hadn't won 2 World Series in the last 3 years, and apparently satisfied Red Sox Nation, would they have dared bring Bill Buckner back if they hadn't won one since 1918 or whatever it was? But the guy most responsible for winning 2 World Series in the past 3 Major League Baseball seasons is our first presenter. Terry Francona is a Pennsylvania guy, grew up New Brighton, PA. His dad, Tito, was one of my favorite baseball players, and Terry has now won 2 world championships. By the way, both those World Series in 04 and 07 sweeps. He has never lost a World Series game as a Boston manager. Here to introduce Ron Blazier, Terry Francona.
Hi everybody, this is Terry Francona of the Boston Red Sox down here in sunny Fort Myers, Florida. I'm here today for a very special occasion. It's my pleasure to be able to speak about Ron Blazier for a couple minutes. My first year as a Major League manager in Philadelphia, Blaze made the club out of spring training. Unfortunately, got hurt along the way, probably because of bad manager. But I think the biggest and the best compliment you can give to a player isn't whether they're the best player on the team, but it's that they're a good teammate. And Ron falls right at the top of that category. So it's my pleasure to present Ron Blazier for induction to the Blair County Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Ron.
I don't know what to say. I mean, it's truly a great honor, you know, to be getting this and everything. I just got to thank my family, the Phillies, for giving me the opportunity for all them years to move up and everything. And I'm just touched. I mean, it's truly an honor. Thank you.
You know, I thought for just a minute, for the first time in 13 banquets in 21 years, we were going to have the first refusal to accept the induction, but we're glad you made it up here, Ron, and glad you accepted the award. We honor champions here, and we always do. And it's not always the inductees who are the only champions. Sometimes the presenters are as well. Our next presenter, Suzanne Yakelin, has been the gymnastics coach at Georgia for 23 years. She has won 8 national championships, the last 3 in succession. She has won more national champions in any sport in the NCAA, 8, more than any women's coach at any level, any sport in the NCAA in history. She has developed 31 NCAA individual champions, 52 All-Americans. Here to present Nadine DeLeo Buchanan, whom she trained right here in Altoona, Suzanne Jacqueline.
I first met Nadine when she was running around Nittany Gymnastics School in State College as a 9-year-old. She was spunky, full of life, and you could not keep her off of the uneven bars. She also was tumbling all the time. What a great dancer she was. She actually had a lot of dance background, which is what I found out later. But I was Nadine's regular teacher every week at Nittany Gymnastics, and after a couple months, her mom, Sue, came up to me and said, "Are you interested in going into Altoona to take over the gym club that we have over there?" And at the time, I didn't even know what Altoona was, but I knew that I loved coaching Nadine DeLeo, and I loved her mom, Susan, so I thought, wow, this is a great opportunity. Went over to Altoona, Pennsylvania, ended up purchasing and buying the gym, Gemini Gymnastics, and became Nadine's regular full-time coach at the age of 10 years old. It was just a tremendous honor to be able to work with her. From such a young age, she was so determined and so focused to not only be the best gymnast she could, but to learn every new skill possible. Nadine was not afraid of anything. One of the things I really remember also outside of the gym is on weekends going to my house. I lived on a farm at the time, and Nadine would come there with me often, and you could never stop her from flipping, cartwheels, spinning, and every time I'd turn around, she'd be doing handstands. One time actually on top of the horse. So as a youngster, you could not get gymnastics out of her system at all. And just as an aside, Nadine's mom, Sue, was just an incredible woman. She was so committed to her daughter and making sure that Nadine had every opportunity to excel in the sport. And excel is exactly what Nadine did. She went on to win numerous awards, and I had the terrific honor to be able to coach her at the national championship level while she was on the national team. Nadine just got better and better and better. Unfortunately, that's when the injuries started. And in a sport like gymnastics, you're surrounded with injuries. It seems like that's just part of what we do. But Nadine persevered. She never faltered from her goal to get a college scholarship. And as it turns out, she was the first gymnast ever to get a college scholarship from Gemini Gymnastics School, where I coached for many, many years. I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate Nadine and her family for this terrific honor. I, for one, know that she has earned it. It is my pleasure to now introduce to you Nadine DeLeo for induction into the Blair County Sports Hall of Fame.
Thank you. What an honor to be presented by one of the best women's collegiate coaches in the nation. I am so proud to be one of Suzanne's first gymnasts. After speaking with her recently, Suzanne was telling me how I would not believe how laid back she is now. She's right. I wouldn't believe it. I can remember getting hit with her shoe flying across the beam at my slightest misstep. I want to thank Suzanne for her years of commitment in helping me achieve my goal of a scholarship to Penn State. My nomination into the Hall of Fame has been an overwhelming experience. When I first got the call from Neil, I was surprised and thrilled. It has been especially fun for my girls, Sydney and Maddie, looking through all my old gym pictures, my Penn State paraphernalia. I was explaining to them what the weekend would entail and how special it would be for all of us. They looked at me and said, "Mom, are you going to have to wear your Penn State leotard and perform on stage?" I told them I'd like to, but I have to wear a dress. I want to first thank the selection committee of Blair County Sports Hall of Fame. I attended the banquet when Mary Lou Retton was the guest speaker, but I never envisioned being up here. Thank you for this great honor. Although I started my gymnastics career at age 9, my love for the sport developed while taking dance and acrobatics at Siegel School of Dance. It was really through the late Bill Siegel that I found myself doing back handsprings down 11th Avenue every parade. At that point, I figured I had better get out of dance and into the gym. When I first started taking gymnastics, Altoona did not have a club, and my mom would drive me to State College to take lessons at Nittany Gymnastics School. Shortly thereafter, Altoona Gymnastics Club started with the help of Suzanne and Regina McGuire. Thanks to several parents in the Altoona area, including mine, Gemini Gymnastics came into existence. Through the help of the Altoona Mirror, Herb Warner, Jim Lane, the sport of gymnastics continued to grow and to be recognized. Bishop Guilfoyle High School did not have a gymnastics team, but I was given the opportunity to compete as an independent. Competing my senior year in PIAA championships and being fortunate enough to win a gold medal was a great experience, and I've always appreciated BG's support. My senior year of high school, I traveled to State College to train at Nittany Gymnastics under Suzanne and Ed Isabel. My only hope was to reside in Lion Country and become a Penn State gymnast. Thanks to Judy Markell and Marshall Avner for giving me the opportunity to fulfill my dream. Unfortunately, I entered my freshman year with a fractured vertebrae in my back. I was so fortunate to remain on scholarship all 4 years, despite being able to compete in only 2 events and having to retire my senior year. I am so grateful to have had Judy for my coach. Her never-ending belief in me to this day gave me the drive to continue competing. One of the highlights of my career was performing in Rec Hall and receiving a standing ovation. I can still see my parents, grandparents, aunts, and uncles in the stands. But tonight's honor is a tribute to my parents. Looking back, I was so fortunate to have had my mom literally travel to every meet with me throughout my career. I now understand her phobia about driving in the snow, but she always got me there. No matter how my meet turned out, my mom was there with a kiss, a hug, and something positive to say. My dad taught me drive and perseverance that I am so grateful for. And no matter how hard it gets, just to keep pushing. It was through his stamina that I developed mine. My dad is a former BG blanket winner. So my athletic ability must have come from him, or at least he'd like to think so. I want to thank you both for always reminding me to keep my chin up high. Your endless support, guidance, and your unconditional love. I love you both. I am so grateful that my children and husband are here to share in this memorable evening. Sydney and Maddie, I love you both dearly, and I am so proud of both of you. It has been pretty fun with them lately. Everywhere we go, whether I'm shopping at Giant Eagle, at the post office, my girls make it a point to tell whomever I'm talking to, whether we know them well or not, that I am getting inducted into the Hall of Fame for gymnastics. Even the girl behind the Starbucks counter thought I was Mary Lou. Since we found out about tonight, my husband Scott has been enduring countless pictures of my gymnastics, suffering through my Ben Glory days. But Scott did ask me to mention that he was on the Penn State baseball team. Thank you, Scott, for all your love and support. This weekend has been another reason for my family to get together and celebrate. Not that the DeLeo family needs a reason. In addition to my mom and dad, I want to thank Peggy, Michelle, my sister Diane, my brother Tom, for all your years of support, your love, your encouragement. Every time I leave Altoona, I'm always looking forward to my next trip home. I also have a full table of my Stoystown family and friends here, and that's made this weekend even more special for me. Finally, I'd like to thank the Blair County Sports Hall of Fame, and all of you. I feel very honored and very blessed, and I know I will relive this night over and over as one of the best moments in my life. Thank you.
You deserve another standing ovation for that acceptance speech. Nadine said that when she finished the meet, her mother would be there with a hug and a smile and a kiss and something positive to say. Reminds me of Bill Cowher, Hines. It's pretty much the same deal, don't you think? I don't think Nadine's mom had that mustache or spittle flying or anything like that going on either. Albeit ever so humble, there's no place like home. You folks, more than anyone, know Dave McGarity, head basketball coach at St. Francis, was with their program for a much longer time, all told as an assistant. He is now the women's coach at the Military Academy, Army in West Point. And unfortunately, he was a successor to the tragic death of Maggie Dixon, the 28-year-old head coach of the women's team at Army, and of course the younger sister of Pitt basketball coach Jamie Dixon. But in true Dave McGarity style, he didn't miss a beat. He's been the head coach there 2 years with a record of 42-16. The guy can flat out coach. Here to present Dr. Nick Leasure for induction into the Blair County Sports Hall of Fame, Dave McGarity.
Good evening. I'm honored to be a part of this special event and regret not being able to attend. In 1974, as a young first-year assistant basketball coach at my alma mater, St. Francis College, I was given a very clear assignment by my boss, Coach Pete Lonergan: recruit the big redhead from Tyrone. Nick Leasure was the young phenom from the tiny town off Route 220 in Blair County. Little did I know at the time that I would ultimately be battling the likes of the great Lefty Drizel of Maryland, the dynamic Rolly Massimino of Villanova, and countless other big-time coaches and universities for the services of the 6'7", silky smooth shooter. Nick went on to have a great senior year at Tyrone High School and made my job even tougher when he was selected to play in the prestigious Dapper Dan Classic in Pittsburgh. Nick and his family handled the attention with tremendous dignity and class and ultimately decided on St. Francis. He led the team in scoring 3 of his 4 years and never played on a losing team. What is truly impressive is the level of competition that he faced during his career. When you look at the record book, Nick's 4 years, he played against 14 Big East teams, 15 Atlantic 10 teams, 5 from the ACC, 3 from the SEC, and 3 from the Big Ten, with wins over Boston College, Georgetown, West Virginia, Penn State twice, and the most memorable against the 1977 Final Four participant, UNC Charlotte. Nick was mature beyond his years. Along with Don Graham and Lou Ridgway, Nick was a terrific leader and captain his senior year. He helped a young first-year head coach more than he will ever know. A true gentleman, an outstanding student athlete, it's my pleasure to present Nick Leasure for induction into the Blair County Sports Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Neil, and thank you to the Board of Directors and the Selection Committee for nominating me. You can breathe easily, Norm. I wrote a 10-page acceptance speech, but since I'm a physician, I can't read my own handwriting, so I will try to get right to the point. It's a humbling experience to be here. It truly is amazing. When I think about it, I met a lot of people this weekend who saw me play basketball when I was in junior high school and in high school, and it's amazing to me how many people remember watching me play. I was just a kid from a small town that wasn't trying to do anything. I loved to play basketball, You know, I loved to shoot the basketball because it felt like the right thing to do, and it felt good. And my wife and my kids will tell you I still drive them crazy because I still love to shoot foul shots in the driveway. And I do it because it feels good, not because I was trying to accomplish anything special. And to think that I made it to college and went to medical school were things that really were beyond our wildest dreams. Those weren't the kind of things we even thought about when we were kids growing up in a small town. The number of people that I have to thank is truly 10 pages long, and I won't go through that. Let me just talk about two quick groups. One is one you already saw a picture of, and again, apologizing for leaving anyone else out. But I do want to mention my two children. I actually have three. Nicholas is not here. Many of you who were here for the weekend know that Michael spent most of the weekend with me, and many got to meet him. And my daughter Emily is also here to enjoy the event. Having them here truly makes this a meaningful night for me. Those of you who have had children know that you learn more about yourself from your children than you do anything else that you do in life. And I thank them for making me a better person. The other person I want to mention just briefly, and he can stand up if he likes, is my father. My father has always, I'm sure he doesn't realize it, but he's always been an inspiration for my entire life. He had a tough life. He grew up during the Depression. He was sent away from home at an early age to support the family. And we never knew that. He never talked about that or never complained. He got a high school education while living away from home. He also was a World War II hero. Of course, no one knew that until about 50 years later, but he intercepted a key Japanese communication during a mission in the Pacific and was able to warn his entire battle group of an upcoming attack and was able to save the whole group. Being the kind of man he is, it took me 45 years to get him to talk about the war and talk about some of those experiences, because that's just what you did. That was his job, and he was doing his job. My parents were wonderful, and I think the thing that they taught me was that they never ever made me feel like there was anything else more important in the world than me to them. And that's something that I carry with me all the time. It's a tremendous burden as I try to pattern myself after you in raising my own children. I often feel guilty that I'm not as good a parent as you were. So thank you very much. Thank you to all my family. Thank you to the entire sports community for this tremendous honor. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Always the basketball players. You have to bring this back down. The greatest generation, we honor your service, sir. Not just our athletes up here on the dais, but I'm sure anyone who's ever competed in athletics or really competed in anything would not admit that they'd be nowhere without their parents, their teachers, or their coaches. And sometimes a coach has to serve as all three. Kevin Gibson coached swimming and diving at West Virginia University for 30 years. He produced 6 All-Americans, including our next inductee. Here to present Renee, Riccio, McCutchan, Kevin Gibson on your video screen.
Okay, about 20 years ago, I signed a young lady to a partial scholarship at WVU from Altoona, Pennsylvania. Her name was Renee Riccio. She had a very supportive family. Mom, Dad, and her older brother were really behind her in her swimming. When she came to WVU, it was a godsend. She was a great young lady. She could work out with the best of them, and she was really highly motivated. Matter of fact, I used her many times to get my men to work harder. I would put them in lanes with Renee, and she would be hitting their feet trying to pass them. It was a pleasure coaching her. She was a most valuable swimmer, many occasions, All-American. She graduated from the university in exercise physiology, human performance, which is where I taught. I got to announce her as she went through graduation. The next thing that is important to mention is that Frank McCutchan, one of my former swimmers, was dating her all the way through college. They are happily married now, and they have 2 beautiful children, probably going to be great swimmers along with their mother. It is my pleasure to present Renee Riccio for introduction to the Blair County Sports Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Coach, for those kind words. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. What an honor and a privilege it is to be recognized by your hometown, especially this one. This induction to the Blair County Hall of Fame means so much to my family and to me. And that's where I'd like to begin tonight, by thanking the Blair County Hall of Fame committees for all of your hard work in making this such a special evening and a beautiful special weekend. I'm really honored and humbled to be sharing this induction ceremony with Nadine and Ron, Nick, and Coach Irwin, and all of the previous inductees. This occasion is a real tribute to our great community that we have here. And as I prepare to speak tonight, the more and more nervous I became, which I didn't think was possible, but I realized, this is a wonderful opportunity for me to thank and give credit where credit's due for all the success that I had in the pool. First, thank you to the more than 10 coaches here in Blair County. Each and every person that coached me had a positive influence in my swimming career and, more importantly, my life. From the Park Hills Country Clubs in the summertime to the Altoona and Hollidaysburg YMCAs, and of course Altoona Area High School. This is where my foundation was built and where my love of my sport began, which carried me through 16 years of competitive swimming. So thank you so much. This brings me to my West Virginia days and to Coach Gilson. Thank you, Coach. Without you, I know I never would have achieved so much in my college career. I was so lucky to be your swimmer and to be a member of the WVU women's team. Coach Gilson built both the men's and women's programs at WVU. He was a brilliant coach, and he knew how to train his athletes in the weight room and in the pool. And he also gave me something else. He really helped me gain the confidence and the attitude I needed to compete and to swim fast. So thank you. On a personal note, Coach and Mrs. Gilson, they have 3 daughters of their own, 2 of which they were my teammates at WVU. And they always treated me like I was one of their girls, and I always will appreciate that. This brings me to the 2 people who were there through it all, my mom and my dad, Rick and Jackie Riccio. My mom and my dad always put their family first. My brother's dreams and my dreams always came ahead of their own. And my dream was a very time-consuming one for my family. For those of you that have never been to an age group swim meet before, I can fill you in a little bit. It's not very glamorous. It's 100 degrees on the pool deck, 95% humidity in the stands, and you can spend up to about 6 hours to maybe see your child swim for 6 minutes. I don't want to discourage anybody from swimming, but it is a very, very labor-intensive and time-consuming sport. It's a year-round sport, practice every day, and as you get older, it's double practice every day. So it really is a labor of love. And the 16 years that my parents, that I swam competitively, my parents only asked a few things from me. And it was to be a good teammate, to always train as hard as I could at every practice, to listen to my coaches, and to have fun and really enjoy what I was doing. And that was it. In all those years, there was never any pressure from them to win or even to continue if I wanted to walk away. And that made it easy, and that made it fun, and that is why swimming made me so happy for so many years. They supported me completely as an age group swimmer and in making the difficult decision to go to the pettiest school, which was probably, even though my decision was still probably the 2 hardest years of my life, many phone calls home, crying homesick for Altoona. But Mom and Dad, thank you for your sacrifices that you made. I love you both so much. Thank you. Thank you. I want to end this evening by thanking all my family and friends that came tonight to celebrate this special occasion. My children, Jacqueline and Frankie, I love you. You guys are being really good. Thank you. And I'm going to strive to be the type of parents that my mom and dad worked for me and for my brother Phil. They're always there for us, and always. I'm sorry, got a little. And I'd like to thank my husband Frank, who was a swimmer at WVU, as Coach said. It was kind of like as the pool turns at West Virginia, a little bit. But he always wanted to see me do well while I was there, and he was so supportive as my teammate also, and he still does. So thank you, Frank, for always being my best friend. This is one of the proudest moments of my life, and I'll treasure this memory always. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Renee. Well said. This should bring thunderous applause. I don't think I'll be back for the next banquet. I made a mistake. Renee's coach is Gilson, not Gibson. I apologize. And I swim like a rock, so I probably should contact him at some point. Did bring a smile to my face when Renee was talking about what her parents told her before she began to compete, because it brought back to mind what my father said to me the first year I went out for football in the 8th grade. That's the earliest we could play. And I had just gotten braces off my teeth after pretty expensive. And he said, I don't care if you break your leg, but if you get a tooth knocked out, I will kill you. Thanks for the support, Dad. That's more Bill Cower-like. No wonder he and I got along so well. You know, we all like to pay back. Chris Elliott played for our next inductee, and he coached under Tom Irwin at Bishop Guilfoyle for 5 years. He is now the defensive coordinator at Bethel College in McKenzie, Tennessee. Here to present Tom Irwin Jr., Chris Elliott.
It is an honor to be here with all of you this evening as we recognize some extraordinary people. I do this with thoughts of a great friend on my mind. He should be here in my place doing this. Sadly, we lost John McDonald 5 years ago and still miss him dearly. The game of football has been privileged to have a man like Coach be part of it. He played at Altoona Catholic and Millersville University and has coached at Keith Junior High as well as Hollidaysburg and Bishop Guilfoyle High Schools. In my mind, Coach will be remembered most for his time up on the hill at Bishop Guilfoyle. Many special memories occurred after Coach walked that bicycle up the hill for practice. His role with his teams evolved through the years. In the early years, Coach ran everything. He made all the calls. As the years went by, Coach's focus turned more towards his players as he surrounded himself with assistant coaches who ran the offense and defense. He may have passed on the play calling responsibilities, but I don't think there was ever any doubt who was making the call on 4th and 1. There are things that will always stand out in my mind about Coach. The way he treated and cared for his players was unlike anything I have ever seen before. It was like we were all part of his family. No moment for teaching was ever wasted. Whether it was taking notice of a rainbow after a storm or seeing the moon rise over Brush Mountain, he taught us to appreciate everything. He used his 1-minute wisdom book to teach us how to think. Somehow the message always related to the team. To the surprise of some, Coach had a very intense, fiery side, especially on game day. You could hear it in his voice and see it in his eyes. He is a competitor. Who could ever forget the locker room speeches? There was something wrong if you were not ready to play after hearing those. Post-game meetings ended with the who's next cheer with Chris looking towards that next opponent. Coach has not ever been a person to seek recognition for anything he has done. It doesn't fit his personality. But you have earned this, Coach, so enjoy it. We thank you and we love you. And now it is my pleasure to present for induction into the Blair County Sports Hall of Fame, Coach Tom Irwin, Jr.
I stand between you and Hines Ward. First of all, I'd like to thank Chris for doing what he did. Chris, if you know Chris Elliott, you know he's a remarkable young man, going places in coaching, but just so unbelievably detailed and takes care of everything. And that's the way the committee here works. I just noticed how much they take care of it. It's like, I know well, I won't go there. I'm bird walking. I'll stay focused. Oh boy, here I go. No, stop, Tom, stop. I just would really like to thank the committee because I really appreciate their hard work. Dave doesn't remember, but he was at Keith. He was in 9th grade, and I taught 7th and 8th grade. But he was in the accelerated group. And here I go again. Stop. But I just want to know, he's using all his talents to really make things happen. And Neil does the same thing. They're very detailed oriented, and I just think the world of those guys. And to be here and see my father's picture and my brother Mike's picture, it's truly an unbelievably humbling event. I'd also like to thank the inductees. We were sitting outside the Scotch Valley Country Club, and you read about these people, but when you start talking to them, and you really get the feel for how good these people are. And so I know that how much, I mean, just that 5, 6, 7 minutes we spent together, Nick, Nadine, Renee, Joe, and Ron. I got a lot of tips. Ty got a lot of tips on pitching before we came out. I mean, I'm doing it all wrong. But Ron taught me how to do it right. Thank you, Ron, for visiting. He gave me all these tips. I can't believe I even wrote them down. I want to tell you what they are. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm okay. Stop. Focus. I want to talk my godson, who's also my nephew, Brian, said, just talk from what's in your gut. Talk about what's in your gut. Well, that's pretty dangerous, but that's what he told me. Parney, that's what he told me. He speak what's in your gut. And that's what I want to do tonight. Also, my mom always told me, Tom, I don't know if she was ashamed of me. No, whoa, where am I going with that? My mom always said, Tom, do what you think is right and let God take care of the rest. Angels are messengers. And I've received an awful lot of good information from messengers who are angels. Angels have appeared to me in all shapes and sizes. And I particularly like this one person's shape and size. And she was a real angel. And we met when we were 14 years old. And her name is Lenora. And yes, how about a hand for Lenora? Lenora, we met when we were 14, and she believed in me. When I got nervous, I always said, you want to fight? But I can't take all the time because I just recognize how important, I mean, her guidance and her priorities, and, you know, it's just been an unbelievable relationship, and I want to thank Lenora publicly because if there's any way I could be in the Hall of Fame, it's because of her. So I'd like to thank her for that. I'd also like to thank my Lenora's family, her brothers, her sister, her parents. Leonard Fiore died last year, but those people have been treating me like a son and a brother, and I can't ever replace their generosity and what they've done for us. And Lenore put it especially poignantly. Yes, she said her brother and she are this far apart politically. I mean, if you ever think he's here and she's there, she said, but Richard, I love him dearly, and I would do anything in the world for him, and he would do anything in the world for me. And I thought to myself, what a great thing, because we're in the middle of a presidential election, and you know how hateful it can get. But if we can love each other and still disagree, I'm going to keep on going, all right? Keep on trucking. I'd like to thank I have 5 kids and 15 grandkids. and words just can't express. I mean, I'm sure those of you who are parents understand, you can't talk about the love of your kids. There are no words. But I want them to know how much the miracle of life has, it's just unbelievable to have children, the five children and the 15 grandchildren. And Lenore's mom always said, I used to pinch myself thinking, what in the world's happening here? You know? And I think that's probably the truth, is that it's just unbelievable how the love of a parent. I think Nick expressed it so well when he talked about his father and mom. He just, and I think, Renee, you did the same thing. I hope you just, I think I'm still under the time limit, but my brother and my two sisters, my mom and dad passed away, but we don't normally get together. But my sister flew up from Florida, Judy came from Washington, D.C., and Brother Mike came from near Pansion Park. And he was late. But I want you to tell a little bit about, first of all, Judy, and I hope you did. Judy is an accomplished pianist, and my dad used to love to hear her play. And he'd lean back in his chair and he would say, Judy, play Rustles of Spring. And he would sit back with a big, satisfied look on his face, sometimes with a beer. And if Judy would play, and my dad was in ecstasy. And then there's Brother Mike. No, then there's Mary Beth. Mike's always last. Mary Beth flew up from Florida. The inner light, we used to call her Sunshine when she was a small girl. And because her inner light wasn't inner, it was out there. And she got her doctorate degree, and she's down in the Pinellas County schools in Florida studying, doing all kind of great things. And I really appreciate the fact that she would spend she's only here for one day, but she came for tonight. So, Mary Beth, thank you so much for coming. Okay. And then there's Brother Mike. And Brother Mike and I have had a really good relationship. I know you know Mike from Penn State football, and if you don't know, I'm sure he'll be glad to spend some time afterwards talking to you. So feel free to walk up, because he likes to hold court. But I thought about the reasons, not the reasons why I love him, I just love him. But Mike is a people person. He genuinely loves people. He loves to be around people. They energize him, and he energizes them. And I saw that when the death of my mom and dad, how Mike just handled all those details that were unbelievable. And Mike is he's not all Penn State. He wasn't really that good. No, I didn't mean that. Mike. See, we are very sarcastic. And whoa, that's probably what Elliot heard. But I wanted Mike to know that he just, I do love him. And I do think he's a really, really, really good guy. I've never heard him say anything bad about anybody. He does like to talk about Penn State football, though. And the next thing I'd like to do, and I'm coming to a close here. First of all, I'd like to thank Marty and Johnny Franco for the nice words. And Marty and John are very close friends of mine and outstanding coaches, and I'd like to thank them. But all the players and coaches that we've ever had at Hollidaysburg and at BG, we're just, I'm standing here today, but because of those, I've always been blessed with coaches who really knew what they were doing, like Ron, who really knew what they were doing, and players who could really play. And all I would say, let's go, guys, we're going to get them. And then they went out and did it. But I'd like to close now by saying that there are two people that I would really like to talk about briefly. One was a player and one was a coach. The first one was Joey Durbin. Joey Durbin was in 9th grade at Bishop Guilfoyle, and outstanding athlete, but was inflicted with cancer. They stayed with the team for 4 years, and through that time, I remember we went over to Bishop McCourt, and Bishop McCourt Stadium was reverberated with sound, but McCourt was coming out. They were really fired up, and I saw Joey come up to me. His hair had fallen out from the cancer, and he was like underweight, and he said to me, Coach, are we ready? And I thought, here's a kid dying, and he's asking me if we're ready to play a game. And I thought, and at the Mass at St. Mary's, it was packed full of people. And he had planned his own funeral. And at the offertory, when they played this Let It Be by the Beatles, it was almost like he had accepted things and he was at peace. But unbelievable courage and inspiration. If you go look at his tombstone, it says, a boy who inspired everyone. And so I'd like a tribute to him, is that Joey Durbin will be the ultimate angel for me. And then the second person I'd like to talk about, that we've been together for 30 years, a man who I've known at Hollidaysburg as a teacher and a coach, and for 16 years we've been teaching and coaching together, and we've known each other for 30 plus. John got multiple myeloma, but still continued to coach, and I think John Hartsock says he gave and gave and gave until he had nothing left to give. But if it weren't for people like Marty and Johnny Franco, and I think we all share how much John McDonald meant to us. And I would like very much to say, I know you honor me tonight in the Hall of Fame, but John McDonald deserves to be here. So with that in mind, I'd like to say thank you to John McDonald. Thank you for all you did. And just don't ever forget how important he was to both schools. Enough said? Enough said.
Tom, I think when you were talking with Ron before the banquet began, he wasn't telling you how to throw a curveball. I think you bought his time from him. Did he? And I sincerely hope when you coached that you called the plays with hand signals, because you're never going to beat that play clock. Great job, Tom. Congratulations. Absolutely. And the moments you've all been waiting for. You know, I always try to lend a helping hand. So driving up from Pittsburgh this afternoon, all the way up 22, I kept looking for that tall receiver Ben's been looking for, but just couldn't seem to find anyone. Unless they're round and orange. But you know what? All the receiver that Ben Roethlisberger will ever need is sitting right there. You'll remember, I do, at Three Rivers Stadium, there was a sign up on one of the upper facades. It said 12 plus 88 equals 6. Bradshaw to Swan equal to touchdown. Well, now 82 plus 88 equals 86. Yeah, Hines leads the Steelers all time in reception and in passing yardage received and in touchdown catches. Really an amazing accomplishment. But that's not only what he brings. You know, some athletes, when you watch them play, you can just feel their heart beating strongly, and it just reverberates through the entire stadium. I will not allow my team to lose. Ben has it, Mario had it, Sidney has it, and Hines Ward most certainly has it. You know, there are 32 teams in the National Football League, but I can't think of one where Hines Ward fits better than in Pittsburgh. He would have been a great player anywhere, but we appreciate his kind of player. He's our kind of guy, but more importantly, he's our kind of person. He's one of us. He thinks like us. He plays like us. He works like us. And he wants to win. like us. He's a Pittsburgh guy. Ladies and gentlemen, the most valuable player of Super Bowl 40, Hines Ward.
Tom, you're a funny dude, man. I gotta go out drinking with him one night. He got tons of stories I can imagine. But first of all, I just want to thank the people of Blair County and also my man here, David Andrews, for giving me this opportunity, inviting me tonight to be a part of the Sports Hall of Fame inductions tonight. For me, a lot of you guys don't know I'm into fashion, so this morning I woke up, I laid out 2 suits. I said, laid out a nice black suit, but I was gonna wear all black. They said it was a black tie affair, so I was like, I went with the traditional, the white with I kind of look like Dave here. So, I don't want to come out and be too flashy, but I just want to, first of all, sitting up here and listening to all the stories, I really want to, congratulate all the inductees, especially the younger scholars as you go off to college. And, I wish the best of luck to you guys because, a lot of us who went to college, our college days was the best years of our lives. And it was an opportunity that we broke away from home and got a chance to really grow up and become, women and men. And so I really wish the best of you. And to all the inductees in the Hall of Fame, tonight it's about your night. And this is the one night where you get your moms, your dads, your kids, people who inspired you to be the player who you became. And it's really about you. And I see these trophies, and I was asking, tonight is really about your night. So when you go home and you sit that on the mantle, you tell your kids, hey, look, mommy and daddy, I was the best of the best of Blair County. And tonight, so I really want to give you guys a round of applause for being, But as I was in the back, I was, taking pictures, and shaking hands and signing autographs for the kids. But there was 3 most asked questions back there. First, for all you ladies, how big are your earrings? That's all I kept getting asked. So I put them in a silent auction. So speak with Stan after the event, and he'll give you what they're bidding on. But secondly, for the football, fantasy football players out there who was saying, what's the deal with you and Ben? Are you guys beefing? Are you fighting each other? Ben and I are fine. He made a comment. They put it out there. Ben has 100 and something million reasons to go out and buy him a new tall receiver if he wants. I'm not going nowhere. So, but third, the question that was asked was, what's the difference between Coach Cowher and Coach Tomlin? I was like, one's black, one's white. Both the philosophies are about the same. They're about the same. One spits more than the other. But both are great guys. And like I said, having the opportunity to play under Coach Cowher for so many years, that's something that I will always cherish for the rest of my life. And Coach Tomlin, he's still new, so he's going through the draft this year and really trying to draft his own players. But both still had the same philosophy, to work hard, to give it all you got, and let's go out there and try to win another championship for the city of Pittsburgh. So that's really the difference. Coach Cowher, I miss his spitting days. So you always gotta, to this day, you gotta turn away when you talk to him. He don't have a control of that just yet. But I really want to just talk to you guys really about teamwork and hard work a lot of the inductees up here, they will understand what it takes for the teamwork and hard work that they put into it, along with the parents as well, because you have to drive the kids to practice, pick them up, show them support or whatnot. But to know a little bit about me, I want to tell you a story of who's the person who's standing before you tonight. And I'm real close to my mother, and I think she's the driving inspiration of who I am, the type of player that I am. And so I want to tell you a little story about, kind of who I am as a player today. But my mother's Korean, my father's African American. They met in the Korean War when he was in the military and stuff, and got married, had me, cute little me, and got a chance to come back. So I grew up majority with my father because the courts wouldn't award my mother custody yet because they figured that she wasn't fit to be a parent. She didn't speak the language, she didn't have the income. So she worked her tail off. She worked three jobs: hotel service, washing dishes, doing all the little things that a lot of people probably wouldn't have done. But she never gave up. She could have easily just said, you know what, America's too hard for me. I'm going to pack up, I'm going to go back to Korea, and I'm going to leave my son, my one and only child, with his father. But she never did that. I mean, she was inspired to go up, to work the 3 jobs, to be able to save enough money. So the courts, when I was, I think at the age of maybe 8 or 9, I was able to go back and live with my mother. And going back and living with her, that whole experience was definitely new, because back in the day, kids growing up nowadays, it's hard on all the kids. And for me, I think I had an identity problem because, being Korean and black, I grew up in a majority black neighborhood, and then when I moved with my mom, it was kind of middle class. So I had a hard time identifying myself or who I was as a person. Going to school, the white kids didn't want to hang out with me because I was black and Korean. The black kids didn't want to hang out with me because I was Korean. The Korean kids didn't want to hang out with me because I was black. So, it was a hard time for me growing up and really trying to find myself, who I was as an individual. So, I grew up with a kid whose father coached a baseball team, and we used to always go out in the recess, and I'm jacking home runs and stuff, and he said, hey man, why don't you sign up for baseball? And I was like, well, my mom works all the time. There's no way, that I'd be able to go to practice, and she didn't have the money to spend on, athletics. So come to find out, his father seen me playing. His father actually paid for my whole way and everything. So I got involved in athletics. And in athletics, it really doesn't matter what color you are. I think you're accepted amongst everybody. And I looked towards athletics to really, I felt good because it wasn't about the color of my skin. It wasn't about, if I was rich or poor. It was about the 12 players that played on my baseball team. We as a unit worked together to try to achieve a goal. And that's where teamwork comes in. And I think a lot had to do with, when I grew up as a child, my mother worked all the time. So I didn't have curfews. She was at work at night. I didn't have I woke up anytime I wanted to do, but the whole time, without having discipline and having rules set over my head, I had to do my job of staying out of trouble. And I was a little knucklehead when I was in 4th, 5th grade. And I remember the teacher called the principal called my mom, and my mom had to get off work and come to school to discipline me. And unfortunately, she took the paddle out the teacher's hand. In front of my class, I had to bend over, and she gave me a whooping in front of all my classmates in class. That was the most embarrassing day of my life, and I vowed to that day that I will make sure that I never get in trouble or never wanted my mother to be disappointed in me as far as being a disciplined child. I'm always very cordial to people. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. How you doing? And it all comes from that whooping that day. Trust me. But that's where I learned teamwork at an early age. Before any athletics even took part, I think for me as a person, my mother was working her butt off to do all she could to give me the nice things. I had I guess during my time, Jordache. Jordache was, you had Jordache, you was the man, You had a pair of Jordans, you was the man. So, my mom, I kept looking at my mom who I thought she never ate. My mom's regiment was, wake up in the morning at 5 o'clock, go to work, make me breakfast, leave it on the table, set my alarm clock. I set my alarm clock, I got up, I ate, I peeled the plastic off the plate, set in the microwave, I ate breakfast, I went to school with the key tied around my chain so I wouldn't lose it, because I was always losing keys to the apartment. I'd come back home, my mom would get off work, and she would leave me lunch because she'd go off to her second job. I got home at lunch, she got off, I think, from her second job around 6 o'clock. And I finally saw her during the day that evening. That was the first time I'd probably seen my mom all the time. And so I had to learn from myself, my mom's busting her butt so hard to provide and give me all the nice things in life. The least I can do is stay out of trouble. The least I can do is make good grades, make her feel proud, like she's being a fit parent. Because she was at that point where, if child services was to come in, she wasn't doing all the things she was really supposed to be doing as a parent. But I had to make my way to make sure that I stayed out of trouble. So, because I'm really not close to my father anymore. I mean, my mother's all I have. I don't have any brothers or sisters or nothing. So I had to learn at an early age about teamwork. As the years went on, I developed into a pretty good ball player. I was in the newspaper, and I don't think my mom even knew anything about athletics. She didn't know the difference, football, baseball, and she definitely didn't know that you can get a scholarship to a college. So, all her friends, co-workers, like, man, your son's like the best ball player in Georgia. You need to go support him, cheer him on and stuff. So my mom said, hey, she calls me Junior because she don't like my real name because that's my father's name. So they have their battle. So, she calls me Junior all the time. And she said, I want to come to a football game. And trying to explain the game of football to females is not all females. I know Pittsburgh females, you guys know more than most men here, trust me. But for real, but for my mother, I had a hard time. I just got frustrated. She said, well, what's the difference between a field goal and an extra point? They look the same. Why is one 3-point? Why is it 1 point? What's the yellow flag? So trying to explain to my mom was a difficult time. And then I got a scholarship, a 4-year scholarship at the University of Georgia, and then, went on to have a great career. Then I had an opportunity to get drafted to go in the NFL. And, now all my mom's friends, ooh, you better get rich. You better make a lot of money. You better go up there and support. And now my mom, like, as the years went on, she started watching the game, and people around her start teaching her about the game, people she sat in with. And now it just, to look from where she started to where she is now, just this past year, Jacksonville, as many of you out there didn't know, I had a slight tear in my PCL, my MCL, and a lateral meniscus of the Buffalo game. I think it was the third game of the year. I played hurt all season. By the time I got to Jacksonville, my knee was shredded. But I didn't want to miss a game. I'm not big on missing games. And plus a playoff game, opportunity. Well, if I shut it down to have surgery, I miss the opportunity if we make a magical run and go to the Super Bowl. So I say, no, I'm going to play. I told Coach Tom, I said, no, I want to play. I'll just shoot it up and play. And as the game went on, I went on to continue to try to make plays out in the field. And I think I had like 10 catches over 100 yards. And, I'm thinking I laid it all on the line, hurt knee and everything. So I called my mom. And, my mom's the worst critic ever. I don't think I could ever do anything. If I don't score a touchdown, I ain't do nothing to my mom. So as I call home, I said, Mom, you watched the game? She said, yeah, I'm sorry, baby, y'all lost. It was a tough one, but you didn't do nothing. Like, what the world? I didn't do nothing. I played out on one. I was like, okay, I laid it on the field. And if I don't score a touchdown, in my mom's eyes, I didn't do anything. I didn't do crap on the football field. So she is definitely the worst critic. Now she's calling. She's rented the NFL Network. She's telling me about all the teams. And, I thought Coach Cowher was tough on me. But, if I don't score a touchdown, my mom's like, I changed the channel and watched somebody else because you wasn't doing anything. But, no, but I love her to death. She is definitely the hard work that she's put in through life. When I'm up at training camp and, we're out there in Latrobe and the weather's just unbearable. You know, I look back for inspiration from my mom, and I really see, you know, would she ever quit? You know, she never gave up. You know, oh, I'm out here playing something I love doing in the heat. Big deal. Stop complaining. Go out there, man up. Go out there and do it. So my mother is definitely, you know, I hear all these athletes and talk about their parents were, you know, their inspiration, their role models. But the person who stands before you tonight has a lot to do with my mother. So I really want to just thank her for all the things that she's done for me. But, you know, in conclusion, I really just want to talk to you guys about just some things that, you know, this past week was a big week. And, you know, with the upcoming year, with, you know, the draft is coming around the corner. Ben's big extension on his contract. He's going to be here for a while. You know, I think the nucleus is set for us to really go out and have a great year, you know, through the draft and through the younger guys getting a couple years to develop. So I'm really excited about that. You know, the one question everybody asks me, are we going to win the Super Bowl? I get that every day. I'm going to do all I can to trust me, you know. But we all know football is a team sport. And there was a well-known professor at Carnegie Mellon named Randy Powell. He had you guys watched the special. He had a special, I think, a couple of weeks ago or last week, and it was very inspiring. I got a chance to actually hang out with him. And really, when I met him, like, they told me the situation, but I didn't know how severe the situation was. But he was very inspirational. And he said something that, during that piece, that best describes me, as he was challenging the faces that he was becoming with the cancer. He said he knew that his odds of beating cancer was very, very slim, but he was going to do anything possible to try to win that battle. He was quoted, he's going to leave it all on the field. And in my opinion, when he said that, I was like, wow, you know, he's going to do whatever it takes to beat cancer. You know, he knows that, you know, it's the worst cancer that you probably can have, but he was going to leave it all out on the field. I was like, wow. He just described how my whole career has been. No matter win, lose, or draw, smile. You see me smiling all the time. When I put on that uniform, I feel like he said, I'm going to leave it all on the field. I mean, it's not a game that goes by that I don't ever look back and say, I didn't leave it all on the field. And when he said that, I was like, wow. You know, here's a guy who's battling cancer. You know, he's doing everything possible to stay spirited. You know, he knows that down the road is looking very slim, but he's living life to the fullest. And that's the way I approach it. People say, why are you smiling all the time? Like, you know, you get hit, you drop a ball. I don't try to drop it on purpose. So, you know, all you got, you dropped the ball. I didn't try to. It just happens. Some days you have a bad day at work. It happens. But for me, when he said that, I was like, wow, it put everything in perspective. So, yes, I'm definitely going to do all I can to bring another Super Bowl back to the city of Pittsburgh. And I'm definitely tonight telling you, every time I put on that uniform, I'm definitely going to leave it all on the field. So, in conclusion tonight, this is the fun part I really like. So, you ladies can take off your shoes under the table and kick back, and guys, you can undo your stuff. But I'm going to open up. I got a couple time, right? I'm pretty good. They're strict on time up here. They tell you, I want 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 30 minutes, or whatever. But I'm going to open it up for questions. I know Blair County, probably the only time I'm ever going to be out here. I thought, is the Blair Witch Project out here? I never even heard of Blair County, to be honest. So I had to ask you guys that question, but I got about 15, 20 minutes or so. 15. So I'm going to open up with some questions. You guys can get the inside scoop. I know Stan does a great job with his shows, but Stan's not in that locker room all the time. So I'm gonna step on Stan's toes a little bit and give you the inside scoop of what all you want to know what's going on in the Steelers off season. Right here, you got to speak loudly so everyone can hear you. Yes, my knee is fully. She asked me, is my knee fully recovered? And my knee is very recovered. I took really time off. You know, I was big on, you know, after we won the Super Bowl, get right back into the gym, you know. And the younger guys, the older I get, oh, you got to hurry up. You know, you got these young guys out competing. So I was always pushing myself so much that I pushed myself so hard that by the time the season came around again, I was already tired because I had pushed myself so hard. Never really gave myself enough time to really heal after the season. So this year, I really hadn't done anything for 3 months. And now I'm getting back into working out, but I feel 10 times better than I did in the previous 2 years because right when the Super Bowl was over, it took 2 weeks. I was right back running on the treadmill, sprinting, trying to stay in shape and stuff. And you know, in the game that we play, you really have to give yourself time. You can't push yourself. And the older you get, you understand that. It's still the game of football. You know, all I keep hearing, you know, the older you get, oh, they're gonna cut you, and oh, we need tall receivers, and I'm just playing. You know, the younger guys. So I always push myself so much, and I think I pushed myself so much. By the time I got to the season, I was really never at 100%. I was probably always at 90%. Then by the end of the season, nobody's really at 100%. Everybody's banged up by then, but by then, I'm at 60%. It's like, you know, I'm running on fumes now. So, you know, I've talked to Jerome, and, you know, the older you get, you have to take time off. You're not going to, the game, you've been playing it for so long, it's not going to leave you, you know. So my knee is completely healed. I'm back working out with the team. I'm in Pittsburgh Monday through Thursday, and we're back there working out with the guys, and really looking forward to seeing who we draft. Question right here. I heard somebody saying, does Ben ever yell at me? I yell at him too. We both yell at each other sometimes. That was a great question. Who would I like in the draft? You know what? As players, it's not our job. It doesn't bother us. I mean, we have the late pick anyway, so you have to have like 10 guys that you really want. And, you know, by the time it gets for you to draft, you have to just go with the best player. That's what Stan's job is to do, is critique who we need to draft and stuff. They get a more kick out of that than anybody. I mean, we as players, once they sign, we welcome them like they're our own. They're all new brothers, and we welcome them with open arms, and we try to teach them, as being one of the leaders on the team, we try to teach them what it takes to be a Pittsburgh Steelers and make sure you try to go bust your butt and let's win a Super Bowl this year. So that's how we approach the draft. Couple more questions. I'm here now. Blair Witch is out here. Blair is Blair. I don't care. Way in the back there. I see you. Oh, the push-out rule. You know, it's definitely going to make it hard. It's going to give more advantage to a defensive player because now he don't have to worry about, he's just going to wait for players. For a lot of defensive back who has poor ball skills and really don't have good football awareness of where the ball is, now they're just going to play the player. So any balls that's close to the sideline, they're not even going to try to attempt to bat the ball down. They're just going to push the guy out. So it's definitely, you know, you have to have strategy. It will affect the game a little bit when you throw it down the sideline. You know, if it's cover two, which is a corner and a safety over top, and there's a little hole on the sideline that a lot of quarterback tends to go, and now, you know, safeties are just going to push the guy out of bounds. So it definitely will come into effect with the new rule or whatnot. So we just have to adjust to it. I can't see way in the back. I see somebody right there. No, I always wanted to be a coach. I don't want to be an NFL coach because those guys put in a lot of hours. I mean, I see my coach, they sleep in the office, and it's got to be hard on the wives and whatnot when your coach is there. But college, that's definitely when you got to go out here and recruit kids, and you're really the fathers of these kids. I mean, because you're with them 24/7. You know, that's hard enough itself. So for me, I'm an old high school coach. I just don't want to teach. Can I be a coach and not teach? Huh? Like, I want to be a PE teacher where I just check everybody and make sure everybody's dressed and teach them health. You know. Not saying that PE teachers out there, nothing wrong with PE teachers. You guys have important jobs out there. I'm not just crediting anybody. That's what I want to be if I was a coach. Go ahead, right there. Yeah. You know what? It's football, man. You know, people talk about our turf. Our turf is terrible. But when you was a kid, you didn't care about where you played at. You just played football. That's how I am. Blocking, I'm going to hit you before you hit me. It's football. Don't get mad at me. I'm not going to apologize because I blocked. Oh, why you hitting me? Well, when I go across the middle, I'm pretty sure you're going to try to take me out. So that's how I approach it. I'm going to hit you before you hit me. And majority of the time, I'm hitting them. So I expect it. When I get crushed across the middle, I expect it. Well, you should. I would want to hit myself if you know, I had an opportunity to knock Ed Reed out. I'm pretty sure every time Ed Reed, he's looking at me every time we play them. He can't wait for me to go across the middle. But until then, I'm still going to try to knock him out again. So no hard feelings. It's football. That's what football is all about. You're going to get hit. You either hit or be hit. That's what football is all about. Where's the ladies at? Look, no boxer brief questions. You know, I've done these before. Don't ask them type questions. It's a family thing. All right. Thank you. Willie is doing well. You know, it was and all you guys wanting this turf and stuff. Willie got hurt on turf. And if he was in Hines Field, that injury would never happen. And that's why a lot of players, yeah, the field looked crappy, but ain't nothing. You can never replace grass. I mean, because grass gives, the turf don't. And the way Willie happened, he just had his foot planted. The guy rolled on it and sat on his ankle, and his ankle wouldn't move. It wouldn't give. So Willie's back working hard. I think I talked to him 2 days ago. He said he's still running 4.3. That's fast Willie Parker. So I know he's excited, and he's very, you know, because it hurt him more not playing that playoff game. As a player, as we all know, it's terrible not being able to participate, to be out there when you know you can have a positive impact on the game. And if you're missing a play or a down or a game, that crushes us more because that's one game we can never get back. You know, and for us to lose, I know that really hurt Willie in his sense because he really wanted him to be out there with us. So, right here, we're doing good on time now. I know how y'all are about y'all time. Go ahead. What is it like in the huddle? The huddle is the most comical thing ever, except for like, you know, when there's TV timeouts and stuff. Like we look in the stands for some of you crazies out there who don't have a shirt on, it's 50 below zero. We talking about you in the huddle. Y'all didn't know that. You know, somebody's, man, you see that guy out there, he don't have a shirt on. It's freezing out there. He's out there screaming, yeah. We talking about you. But the huddle's good. You know, the huddle, you can see in people's eyes. I love, you know, they say most people don't want the ball in the fourth quarter. You know, the fourth quarter, game's on the line, I can tell a lot by people's eyes. I just look in the huddle. And I remember, you know, Ben's rookie year, I think it was a comeback game. I can't recall who he was playing, but, you know, something about Ben, he had that something. He had that it. When he got in the huddle, you know, most young rookie quarterbacks, which I only played with one, but you know, they would be kind of wide-eyed and really, but he was very poised, and it showed a lot of his leadership skills to be able to go out there and lead the team down the field. And I think it was Jacksonville. That wasn't his rookie year. Yeah, the Hurricane. And I mean, he just had that presence about him. But you know, that's when I can tell a lot of players who's really scared and who really don't want to touch that ball. They don't want to be that guy that messes up. You can tell a lot in the huddle, but majority of the time, TV timeout, when you see guys chuckling a little bit, we talking about you guys out there. More questions. I'm here, way in the back. I see you. Do I want to retire as a Steeler? I'm begging them to. You know. But that's a lot has to do with my man right here to the left, Stan. He got to keep saying, you know what, Hines has got a couple more good years in him. We need to, you know, I'm still, the Super Bowl ring. You know what? I like to live for the present. I mean, that's something I can reflect back during the off season. I look at it all the time. A lot of time I don't wear it because all you guys want to see it. And it's you know, I don't even think you care about me. Let me see the ring. You know, so, no, I just, you know, the ring is something very special. It's locked away in a safe, and for me, when I won the Super Bowl, I became Super Bowl MVP. The picture of me holding my son, you know, for me that would probably, he was at a young age, but when he gets to the point, kind of like tonight, when all the inductees was up here, you know, it was the first chance their kids get a chance to see their mothers, their fathers, the first opportunity. Hey, my dad was the man back in the day. You know, it's something that one day, you know, hopefully, you know, my sons look back and they see him on the podium with me. You know, it was something that he can be very proud of his father for. So that was that whole moment, is, you know, me not being close to my father. I wanted to have that special bond between my son and I. So that's why I made sure he was in all the pictures. So if you ever see any Super Bowl 40 pictures, you're going to see me holding my son. So when he gets to an age, hopefully he can always remember that. Two more questions. All right, over here. There you go. Yeah. Do I have a girlfriend? You want to be my girlfriend? Last question, right there, then miss. What goes through my mind when I'm playing my biggest rival? Oh man, nothing really. I want to win. Like when we play Baltimore, it's just pure hate. You know, I don't like them, they don't like me, so I don't know. And you know, the funny thing about it, we played Baltimore at the end of the year, right? And we was already in the playoffs, and they were still mad because I knocked Ed Reed out, and I made them mad. So what? It's football. But they had a hit list out on me. That's what's so funny. I never had a hit list put out on me before. I wanted to play that game so bad, but it wasn't the right. My knee was shredded up already, and playing on that turf wouldn't help at all. But you know, I was warming up with the guys on the field and stuff. Oh, come on, man, play, dress out. I said, for what? We're in the playoffs. Y'all watch us next week when y'all at home. I'm gonna play. You know, I'm not gonna go out here and play with you guys. I know you guys, all you guys trying to hurt me. He said, yeah, we had a nice bounty out on you. I'm like, wow. I never had a bounty out on. I never been wanted by a whole team like I'm Jesse James or something. It was you know, but that's, you know, that's only I don't hate anyone. I mean, I don't. Those guys off the field, what's up, Ed? How you doing? You remember I knocked you out that time? You better watch out. You know, we're fine. There's no fist fighting and stuff like that. It's just a job. Like you know, city of Pittsburgh. I think the city itself, they take the loss worse than the players do. Literally, I think we lose like all these businesses. I know Mondays is terrible for you guys if we lose. Oh man, I drove down there. I spent $200 on a ticket and they lost, but it was a good game. But man, you know, for us, we don't get that opportunity. We got to move on to the next week. So you got to keep everything in perspective, and then that's how I do life. You know, I enjoy everything. I'm very blessed about playing. I don't want to play for another team. Like she said, I do want to retire as a Steeler. I still got some good years left in me. The way I work out, the way I take care of my body. My agent over there, with him and I, we're both on this new blood diet, and he's kind of he's my Jerry Maguire over there. So, but we both trying it together because you know he wants to see me retire. I don't want to get into, you know, well, you know, we got to cut you and this stuff like this, and you know, I always want to leave the game when I want to leave, and I'm gonna do all I can, and I'm gonna do everything possible to continue wearing the black and gold. So I want to thank you guys, thank Blair County, thank all the inductees, everybody, congratulations, and thank you again. All you guys look nice. I love all you guys. Thank you.
In closing, I would like one last round of applause for all our inductees and awardees you see here tonight. Hines, you were terrific, one of the best we've ever had here. Very enjoyable. Thank you. Great to see you. Sure, you didn't expect to see any media guys quite this soon, but I apologize in advance for anything I might say from this point on. My thanks go to you on behalf of David Andrews and Neil Riddell and everybody connected with the Blair County Sports Hall of Fame. Without you, there is no Hall of Fame, there is no induction dinner. Thank you so much for coming. Hope you had a great evening, and we'll see you in 2 years. Good night.